So I've had a load of requests asking for us to do a video on how to change the spark plugs. I was slightly nervous of doing this because you do have to take great care when doing this job, and it's maybe a little bit beyond the remit of our handy how-to videos and more getting into servicing. But there are reasons why you might need to change your plugs when you're, say, out on a tour. For example, if you've accidentally left your choke on for too long and they've become carboned up, or if you've been doing a lot of starting and stopping with the car in winter storage, just starting out for short periods, that can carbon up your plug. So there are reasons that you may need to change your plugs outside of a service. So it seems worth doing. So today we'll go through what tools you need and how to take your plugs out and put them back in. Do take care when doing this all the way throughout. So what we're going to need for changing our plugs is, first of all, some spare spark plugs. If your plugs aren't already gapped, you will need a set of feeler gauges. I'm not going to go into how to gap your plugs here. What I would recommend is that you get a spare set of plugs from your trusted garage like us, ask them to pre-gap them, pop them in your boot, and then you've got a spare set. If you do need to gap them, they should be, you'll need a feeler gauge like this, and they should be gapped between 25 and 28 thou, depending on your ignition system. That's for an XK engine, of course. And then you'll need an appropriate tool for getting the plugs in and out, so a ratchet with an appropriate socket like this, or you can get specific plug spanners for the job to get them in and out. So on the subject of reasons that you might want to change your plugs, there's a lot that a spark plug can tell us about how our engine is running. You want your spark plug to be a nice kind of golden browny colour when it's running. If it's black, sooty, carboned up like this, your car's probably running too rich or burning some oil, something like that. If it's very white like this one, you'll find that the engine's probably running quite lean. Either of these issues really need addressing. Let's head over into the engine bay and have a look. So before we even start taking the plugs out, there's a little bit of kind of housekeeping to do, particularly with XK engines because of this V cylinder head. You get a lot of stuff tends to collect in the head and down into the dishes where the spark plugs go. You want to make sure that you clean that out before you take your plugs out because you don't want that dropping into your cylinders. Give it a blow with an airline, get a brush and give it a brush, even get the hoover and give it a hoover out, though don't get in trouble with your partner for taking the hoover out to the workshop. Get a proper workshop hoover. We've all been there. Next, you're going to want to take off your HT leads to do the plugs. I would suggest if you're doing this at home, just take one HT lead off at a time and change the plug and then put the HT lead back on. That way you won't get them muddled up and ruin your firing order. Some people like to mark them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and again, then you can't get it wrong. To take it off, you simply get hold of it and give it a good firm pull. When you put it back on, you don't want to just place it on loosely like that. You need to give it a good firm push down and make sure it clips into place. There are different types of attachments at the end of HT leads where they go onto spark plugs. So you may have to remove a little cap from the top of your spark plug to make sure that your HT lead fits. Now we're going to get on to actually removing a spark plug and putting a new one in, and we're going to head into the engine room and do it on an engine through there so that you can see what I'm doing a bit better. So here we are in the engine room. I'm going to cheat and do it the easy way because it's easier for you to see on this engine that's not in a car. This is a XK150 S engine that's just on our test rig ready to be run up before being fitted in a car. So we've cleaned the channel of our head so that nothing's going to drop down into the cylinders. Obviously, as I say, I'd take one HT lead off at a time, but this has no HT leads in the way. So next we're going to undo a plug. So remember, righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. So we're going anti-clockwise to undo it. You do want to be a bit careful with these. They're aluminium cylinder heads, somewhere between 30, 40, 70 years old, depending on the model. So do take care. So we simply put our socket on and we undo it. That would normally be a bit tighter on a car that's actually been running, and then we can pull our plug off once it's a bit loose and wind it out the rest of the way by hand, or you can leave the socket on and unwind it with the socket. Just keep going until it comes out. So then we're ready to put our plug in. I would generally recommend putting a little bit of lubrication on your threads, just a tiny dab, something like copper slip, to put it in, and then you just want to gently thread it in by hand. You've got to be super careful not to cross thread these. You can get in real trouble by cross threading them. So just be really gentle doing it by hand, and you'll be able to feel if it's resisting you, then there's kind of something up. You wind it in. I generally wind them in as far as I can go by hand. Pop our socket on, switch our ratchet to be going the right way, so we're going clockwise to do it up now, and then we just do it up. There are torque settings published for these, but again, because they're old aluminium cylinder heads, I don't love using torque settings. They've got a crush washer on them, and as you do it up, you will feel that crush washer just squeeze up, and that's enough. That's all it needs. It doesn't need to be super tight. And then you take your socket off, put your HT leads back on, and you're good to go. Just do one plug at a time. So that's it, how to change a spark plug. Not that hard, and a useful thing to do. As I say, I think it's worth talking to your trusted mechanic and getting them to supply you with a spare set of spark plugs, and they can pre-gap them for you if you're not confident doing that. Thank you for watching. We'll see you on the next one, and don't forget to like, subscribe and follow for more Jaguar related content from us.